My dear friends, let me ask you something very simple today. When was the last time you did something just for yourself, not for your children, not for your work, not because someone was watching, but just for you, just for your own heart, just for your own peace? Can you remember that moment? Many of us, if we are honest, cannot. And that is not because we are selfish people who forgot themselves. It is because we are deeply caring people who spent so many years giving, adjusting, sacrificing, and carrying, that somewhere along the way, we quietly stopped including ourselves in our own lives. Today, I want to sit with you for a little while. I want to talk to you, not at you, because there are 5 small things. 5 things that take barely 5 minutes each. And yet, most of us skip them every single day. Not because we don't know they matter, but because somewhere inside we have quietly started believing that we don't matter enough to deserve even 5 minutes. And my dear friends, that belief, that quiet, invisible belief, is the most dangerous thing we carry. So let us begin. I want to tell you about a man I will call Mr. Sharma. He was 62 years old, retired. D from a government job he had given 35 years of his life to. 3 decades of early mornings, crowded buses, files, deadlines, and responsibilities. His children were settled. His house was paid for. By every external measure, his life was complete. But one evening, his daughter called him. Just a regular call. She asked, "Papa, how are you?" And Mr. Sharma said something that stayed with me for a very long time. He said, "Betty, I am fine, but I don't know who I am anymore without my office. I wake up in the morning and I don't know what I am waking up for." The daughter was quiet. And then she said, "Papa, what do you do in the morning?" He said, "I make tea. I sit. I wait for the day to pass." He said it so plainly, without drama, without self-pity. Just the honest tiredness of a man who had poured himself completely into everything around him and had no idea how to pour anything back into himself. My dear friends, how many of us are quietly living this same life? Maybe your situation is different. Maybe you're still working. Maybe you're raising grandchildren. Maybe you are managing a household that never seems to stop demanding from you. But somewhere inside, somewhere in that quiet corner of your chest, there is the same tiredness, the same feeling of going through motions, the same question that you dare not ask too loudly, is this all there is? And the answer, my friends, is no, there is more. But to find it, we have to begin with something so small it almost seems foolish to call it important. The first thing, the very first thing we must never skip is 2 minutes of silence with intention, not sleep, not distraction, not scrolling, not television, actual silence. Deliberate, chosen, conscious silence. Now I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, I sit quietly all day. My house is quiet. My evenings are quiet. What is so special about 2 more minutes? But my dear friends, not every silence means peace. Not every silence means peace. There is a silence that is empty, where you sit quietly but your mind is running at full speed. Replaying conversations, worrying about tomorrow, counting old regrets. That kind of silence is exhausting. You can sit completely still and come away more tired than when you sat down. And then there is another kind of silence, a silence with intention, where you sit down and you say to yourself, just for these 2 minutes I am going to be present. I am going to breathe. I am going to let the thoughts move through without chasing any of them. Just 2 minutes. I once met an elderly woman, a grandmother. I will call her Sunita Ji. She was 70 years old and one of the calmest people I have ever encountered. Not because her life was easy. Her life had been anything but easy. She had raised 4 children largely alone. She had faced financial difficulty. She had lost her husband young. And yet there was this quietness about her. Not a sad quietness, a settled one. I asked her once, "Sunita Ji, how do you remain so peaceful?" She smiled and said, "Every morning before anyone else wakes up, I sit by my window for a few minutes. I don't pray, I don't plan, I just sit, I watch. The light comes in and I remind myself, I am still here. That is already something. I am still here. That is already something." My dear friends, how long has it been since you felt that way? How long since you greeted your own existence with gratitude instead of anxiety? How long since the first thought of your morning was not a worry but a breath? 2 minutes, that is all. Before the phone, before the news, before the demands begin, Just 2 minutes of sitting with yourself and recognizing that you are alive, and that is enough to begin with. Try it tomorrow and see what happens. Now the second thing, and this one touches something that many people over 50 carry very quietly, very privately, without telling anyone. It is the 5-minute practice of writing down one feeling you are carrying. Not a full journal, not a long essay, just one feeling, one honest, unfiltered sentence about what is sitting in your chest today. I know this sounds simple, but let me tell you why most of us resist it. Because putting a feeling into words makes it real. And making it real means we can no longer pretend it isn't there. And many of us have become very skilled at pretending. I think of a retired school teacher I once knew, a deeply dignified man, well respected in his community. Everyone came to him for advice. Everyone leaned on his strength, and he was proud of that, genuinely proud. But one day I sat with him over tea and I noticed something. His cup had gone completely cold. He hadn't touched it. He was talking normally, answering questions. But so, wherever behind his eyes there was a distance, a heaviness. I asked him quietly, "Sir, are you alright?" Not "how are you alright," but "are you alright?" He looked at me for a long moment, and then he said very softly, "You know the strange thing? People come to me with all their problems, but nobody ever asks if I have any. And after so many years, I think even I forgot to ask myself." He forgot to ask himself. My dear friends, we rarely speak about this pain openly. But so many people who spend their lives being strong for others reach a point where they don't know how to be honest about their own pain. Not because they are in denial, but because they have been strong for so long that they genuinely don't know how to begin. Writing one sentence changes something. It doesn't solve anything overnight, but it creates a small channel, a small, honest opening between you and yourself. Today, I am feeling tired and I don't fully know why. Today, I am missing someone and I cannot reach them. Today, I feel like nobody truly sees me. Today, I feel grateful for a small thing and I want to hold on to it. Just one sentence, 5 minutes. And you are no longer completely invisible to yourself. Because my dear friends, you deserve to be seen, even if only by yourself, especially by yourself. Now let me pause here and ask you something. Have you ever been in a room full of people, your own family perhaps, and still felt completely alone? Have you felt that? Have you felt that quiet ache of being surrounded by people who love you and yet feeling somehow unseen, unheard, present in body but absent in every other way? Many of us quietly carry this and we say nothing because we don't want to seem ungrateful, because we know these people love us, and so we smile, we make the tea, we serve the food, we ask everyone else how they are doing, and we carry our own loneliness so elegantly that nobody ever suspects it is there. This is the hidden weight that so many adults over 50 carry without ever naming it. And the third thing I want to share with you today is the 5-minute practice of one genuine human connection. Not a WhatsApp forward, not a group message, not a like on a photograph, a real human personal connection. One message or one phone call where you say to someone, "I was thinking of you." That is all. I was thinking of you, my dear friends. Do you know? Now how powerful those words are. Do you know what happens inside a person when they receive a message that says simply, "I remembered you today"? I will tell you. There was a woman I know of. I will call her Priya. She had moved abroad many years ago with her husband. Her parents were aging back home. Her father was a quiet man, not someone who easily expressed emotion, but every single week without fail, he would send her one message. Not long, just a few words. It would say something like, "Had your favorite kadi today? Thought of you." Or, "The old mango tree in the garden has given fruit again this year." Or simply, "How is the weather there today?" Priya told me once that no matter how difficult her week had been, those small messages made her feel like she still had a home in the world. Like somewhere she was still remembered, still loved. And then her father passed away. And she said to me through quiet tears, "I have all his messages saved. Every single one. And sometimes I read them when I feel very alone. Because in those small sentences, I can still hear his voice." Those messages took him perhaps 2 minutes each to write, and they became her most treasured possessions. On, my dear friends, who is waiting for a message from you? Who is sitting somewhere right now, feeling a little forgotten, a little unseen, a little alone, and would light up completely if they simply heard from you? It takes 5 minutes, sometimes less. And the impact travels across distances and years and sometimes even beyond lifetimes. Do not skip this. Please do not skip this. Now let me speak to you about the fourth thing. And I want you to stay with me here because this one requires a little more honesty. The fourth thing is 5 minutes of gentle movement. Just your body, moving in any way that is right for your body. Now, I am not talking about exercise in the way fitness channels talk about it. I am not going to tell you about heart rates or calories. That is not what I am here for today. I want to talk to you about something much simpler and much deeper. I want to talk to you about the relationship between your body and your inner state. There is something that happens when a person carries emotional weight for a long time without any release. The weight doesn't just stay in the mind, it sinks down. It settles in the shoulders, in the chest, in the lower back, in the jaw that is quietly clenched, in the hands that grip a little too tightly even when resting. The body remembers everything the mind is trying to carry. And when we move, even gently, we give the body permission to release some of what it has been holding silently. I think of an elderly man I once heard about. He had retired after 40 years of work, and within 3 months of retiring, his health declined rapidly. Not from a specific illness, just a quiet shutting down. He stopped moving. He sat all day. He ate less. He spoke less. He seemed to be waiting for something without knowing what he was waiting for. His wife was worried. His children were worried. They consulted doctors. The doctors found no specific cause. And then one morning his wife, out of quiet desperation, said to him, "Come, let us walk to the end of the street and back." Just that. He went. Not enthusiastically, but he went. They walked slowly. They said very little. But when they returned, something had shifted very slightly in his face. The next morning she asked again. He agreed again. 3 months later, he was walking 40 minutes a day. He had started talking again. He had started noticing things, a dog in someone's garden, a flower that had bloomed on the corner, children playing in the lane. He came back to life, not through medicine, through movement, through the gentle insistence that his body was still capable of experiencing the world. My dear friends, our bodies are not burdens to be managed in old age. They are homes we live in, and homes need care. They need air. They need to be walked through and felt and inhabited with gentleness. 5 minutes, morning or evening, stretching gently, walking slowly around your home or garden or street, moving your arms, breathing deeply, giving your body the small gift of motion. This is not exercise. This is self-respect made physical. And now, my dear friends, I need to speak to you about something I've been quietly building toward. Something that I think many of you have felt, but perhaps have not had the space or the words to express. If you will permit me, I want to sit with you in a place of real honesty for a few moments. Because there is a particular kind of pain that comes with this stage of life that we almost never talk about. And I think it is time we talked about it. There comes a point for many people, usually somewhere in the 50s or 60s or sometimes even earlier, when you look around at your life and you feel a very specific kind of exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion, not even emotional exhaustion in the ordinary sense. It is the exhaustion of having given so much for so long to so many people and feeling like very little of it came back. You built things. You sacrificed things. You swallowed your own needs so many times that eventually you stopped noticing you had needs. You kept the family together. You kept the finances together. You held your tongue in difficult moments. You forgave people who didn't deserve it because keeping peace mattered more than keeping score. You showed up when nobody showed up for you. And you did all of this quietly, without asking for acknowledgement. Because that is who you are. Because that is what you were taught. Because strength means carrying without complaining. But my dear friends, underneath all that quiet strength, somewhere very deep, there is a question you have maybe whispered to yourself in a private moment. Was it worth it? Does anyone really see what I gave? Does anyone understand what it cost me? We rarely speak about this pain openly. We rarely speak about this pain openly. Because to speak it feels like ingratitude, like weakness. Like we are somehow taking back the love we gave by admitting that the giving was hard. But it is not ingratitude. It is truth. And truth deserves a place to breathe. You are not wrong for feeling tired. You are not wrong for feeling unseen. You are not wrong for wondering why peace has felt so far away for so long. You spent years protecting others, but somewhere along the way, you forgot to protect yourself. And nobody is going to come and announce it. Nobody is going to hand you a medal for the decades of invisible effort. The world rarely does. Families rarely do. Not because they don't love you, but because they too are caught in their own survival, their own rush, their own distance. But here is what I want you to hear today. Please hear this. You do not need external recognition to begin healing. You do not need someone else to finally see your value before you begin living again. You do not need permission from the world to give yourself peace. The fifth thing I want to share with you is 5 minutes of something you love. Something that is yours, not useful, not productive, not for anyone else. Just yours. A song you used to love. An old photograph you haven't looked at in years. A few pages of a book. Sitting in your garden with nothing to do. Cooking something slowly just for the pleasure of the smell. Watering a plant, writing a few words, humming to yourself, something that reminds you that you are not just a function, not just a role, not just a father or mother or grandparent or employee or caretaker. You are a person, a full feeling, complex, irreplaceable person who came into this world with your own story and your own soul. And that soul needs 5 minutes of being simply itself. I want to tell you about Priya's mother. This is the same Priya I told you about earlier. Priya's mother spent 50 years in service to her family. She was the kind of woman who never sat down until everyone else had eaten, who always chose the slightly bruised fruit for herself so the better ones could go to her children, who quietly, invisibly held the household together through illness and financial difficulty and family conflict. And when Priya's children were grown and the house became quiet, Priya's mother discovered something remarkable. She discovered that she loved to paint, not professionally, not for anyone, just for herself. She would sit in the afternoon light with a small notebook and watercolors she had bought for almost nothing, and she would paint flowers, birds, the view from her window, the face of someone she remembered. Priya once told me that those paintings were the most alive she had ever seen her mother look. Like something that had been sleeping for decades had quietly woken up. Her mother was 68 years old when she picked up a paintbrush for the first time. 68, my dear friends, it is never too late to come back to yourself. It is never too late. The life inside you does not expire with your youth or your productivity or your family's need for you. It waits. Patiently, faithfully, it waits. And all it needs is 5 minutes of your attention. Now let me bring these 5 things together for a moment. Because I don't want them to feel like a list. I want them to feel like what they truly are. 2 minutes of intentional silence. 1 honest sentence about what you are carrying. 1 genuine connection with someone you love or miss. 5 minutes of the movement. 5 minutes of something that is just yours. Together, that is perhaps 20 minutes. Less than half an hour. Out of the 24 hours you have in every day. And yet, these 20 minutes are the difference between a life that is merely endured and a life that is gently, quietly, meaningfully lived. Because my dear friends, the tragedy is not that we don't have time. The tragedy is that we have convinced ourselves we don't deserve the time. We have spent so long putting ourselves last that it has started to feel like virtue, like humility. But there is a difference between genuine humility and quiet self-erasure. And many of us, in the name of selflessness, have slowly erased ourselves. Peace is expensive. Protect it carefully. And your own peace, your own inner stillness, your own quiet aliveness is not a luxury. It is a responsibility. Because you cannot pour water from an empty vessel. And you cannot love others well when you have stopped caring for yourself at all. I want to leave you with one final thought before we close today. And I hope you will carry it with you. Imagine an old oil lamp, the kind you may have seen in a grandparent's home. Simple. Made of clay or brass. It has burned quietly for years. It has given light to everyone around it through long nights, through festivals, through moments of darkness when nothing else was available. But a lamp needs oil. Without oil, the flame doesn't rage or protest or demand. It simply grows smaller, and then smaller still. And eventually, very quietly, it goes out. You are that lamp, my dear friend. You have given light for so many years, to so many people, through so many long nights. Please, fill yourself with oil. Not for anyone else's benefit, though they will benefit, but for your own sake, because your light matters. Your light has always mattered. And there is still so much more of your life in which it can burn bright and warm and steady. These 5 things, just 5 minutes each, are the oil. Do not skip them. Do not tell yourself there is no time. Do not tell yourself others need you too much. Do not tell yourself you will begin next week, or when things settle down, or when life becomes easier. Begin tomorrow morning. Begin quietly. Begin gently. Begin without announcement. Just begin. My dear friends, if something in these words touched a quiet corner of your heart today, if you recognize yourself in any of these stories, if something we spoke about today felt like someone finally understanding something you have been carrying alone for a long time, then please write the word peace in the comments below. Just that one word, peace, not because it helps my channel, but because when another person who is sitting alone somewhere watches this video and sees that word written by you, they will know they are not alone. They will know that there are other hearts in this world that feel what they feel. And sometimes that one small reminder is exactly what a tired soul needs to take one more gentle step forward. Take care of yourself, my dear friends. You have earned that many times over, and I will see you again soon.